along the way with OA to scale it up, and which eventually became a tool called Amazon Tracker Pro. So, which is now available to regular Amazon sellers as well. And me and Paul met at a conference last year, or I think earlier this year. We connected and we had a good discussion about a lot of different ideas, and we decided to come together to do this OA Q1 group. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. We're catching some feedback. If y'all have your Facebook open, just go ahead and mute it if you don't mind. Awesome. And I'm Paul Soche. So I have been running FBA Insiders. This past Q4, we did a Q4 group, and that was just awesome. We had a lot of great success out of that. And out of that kind of evolved this OA group. That's how I met Santosh and found out about his app that we're going to talk about today that he made and all that. So we're really excited about the OA group. And, you know, like many sellers, okay, so all of us are coming off of this high from Q4, probably did a little bit of retail arbitrage and things like that. And now we're looking into Q1 going, what do we do? Right. So that is why we have been inspired to do this group and to help everybody have a really successful Q1 and then possibly add a whole nother income stream to your business if you have not done OA before. And if you have been doing OA, promise you there's still plenty here. So we will we'll be getting a lot of good info there. So Santosh, you want to go ahead? Oh, before I keep going, the other two panelists we have on here with us is Toni. They had Toni and Jimmy. So Jimmy and Toni really helped a ton with the Q4 group that we did. And I asked them to help with the OA group. So we're really excited about that, to have them on. And there's a few other team members that aren't here, but Toni and Jimmy, thank y'all so much for jumping on.
No, thanks for having me. I got to take a sneak peek at this webinar you guys are getting ready to see, and it is loaded with content. I really encourage you to stay to the end so you can get as much information as possible.
Great, good deal. Well, and Toni, Jimmy, y'all feel free to jump in. Santosh, I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to you. And he is going to just kind of blow our minds with hopefully some goodies. And we're going to talk about what's inside the group, what y'all can expect if you join, and all that fun stuff. So
can you see my screen now, guys?
We can.
All right, awesome. So
y'all feel free to ask questions along the way in the chat.
All right, awesome. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the online business model, the OA model. I'm just going to call it OA for short. Now, because that's, I think, a great model, especially depending on where you are in business. If you start out with RA, and I still do some RA, and I know some of the challenges with RA in terms of, you know, having to go out to the store thing. I live in Maryland, where it's pretty cold this time of the year, and Q4 is the time that we all want to make the most out of RA, so there's great deals around. So, the good thing about online arbitrage, the first thing I liked when I started with Amazon, and once I found this model, was the capacity to be able to source from anywhere at any time. We're not restricted to a particular store. We're not restricted to being able to between 9 and 9 because that's the usual time. So you could pretty much set systems that can help you scale OA and source at anywhere from anywhere at any point of time. And also the tools available, like especially when we do RA, we might have. Yeah, sure. No, we might have. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, great. So we might have different, the stores we like to go to when it comes to RA. They're restricted. Like maybe the store is only open from 10 to 6 or a specific time of the day. But OA, pretty much you could be ordering 24/7 if that's what you want to do. And that's a great, way to keep having a steady business running. Also with OA, the amount of tools that are available right now are tremendous, compared to, so the amount of tools compared to before is great. You have a lot of tools that can help you analyze data, and you can make a much more informed decision when you're purchasing OA. Now, there are some challenges, of course, and I'll get into that as well. But I first want to kind of open you up to the possibility of what you can do with OA. The scalability, which is what I like a lot. I know there might be some of you who have built RA teams, and it might be doing great. And you can do the same thing with OA as well. And that's what I've been able to do. I've had a team of VAs who help me from finding leads to helping me review them and also for purchasing. So when you have the right systems in place, I think OA is a very something that can be outsourced a lot more easier. And that's in my opinion compared to RA, because you can set up a lot of parameters, you can monitor them, and you can make it a lot more process oriented. Additionally, OA also has you could easily outsource prep and packaging, because you could technically have these tips. There are a lot of awesome prep centers now out there that you can send them to, have them prepped and packaged, so you don't really even have to touch the product. I know some Amazon sellers, who are also doing their prep and sourcing, can have that problem. But with OA, you're able to have everything just go to a prep center. And sometimes if you use a sales tax free state, you can even be able to avoid the sales tax in some states where, and then say that increases your ROI as well. And I'm only talking about sales tax when it comes to purchasing. Now, I know there's a lot of things going on in the market today with people getting notification of paying your sales tax. We're not talking about that. We're talking more about when you make a purchase for an OA item to resell, often you might have to be paying sales tax, and how you can sort of avoid some of those things. And what I like a lot about the OA model is also the capacity where you can hire and train a VA team that can allow for a lot of semi-automation of this model. When I mean semi-automation, I still think it's very important for all Amazon sellers to be involved with what they're doing. I even now, though a lot of my OA is outsourced to my staff, I spend a lot of time, my time goes towards maybe handling the repricer or just making sure that things are going the right way, my inventory is moving fast as I want, and stuff like that. So that's why I say all that could be semi-automated depending on your level of comfort. And in our group, we're going to be sharing some of those processes and tools to do that. Another good thing I like about the online arbitrage model, it's a pretty easy to learn model. Because compared to, I know there are different models, and I've had some time working on all of them, OA, RA, wholesale, and private label. And what I like about OA, and it's pretty similar if you're already doing RA, it's not that much different. It's also easy to learn model, and you can add it to any current model. If you're already doing RA, I believe you can add, with a little bit of systems in place, you can add this to your existing revenue stream. Maybe if you're doing wholesale and private label, you might have a little bit more time and you want to add something, another model to your Amazon revenue platform, you could do that with OA. There's a lot of simple tools out there now that can definitely help you do that. And that's some of the advantages I think about OA. Paul, you'd like to add anything else?
Sorry, I was muted there. I really, I love it for the fact that, you can combine it with everything that you're doing, right? So like there's OA, RA, and wholesale. And you can kind of combine all of these things that he just mentioned, about getting sales tax free. With RA, we do that a lot. Where I live, our sales tax is 10%. That's huge. So the fact that with OA, I can be sending it to a sales tax free state every time. Well, that's 10% I save right off the bat. And then I like to reverse source. Whenever I'm doing RA and OA, I might be at a store, I scan something, and then I'll go find it online. Maybe there's not as much available in the store, but I can go to, let's say, Walmart.com and buy a bunch more or items that weren't in the store. And the fact that, it's automated. Using virtual assistants to allow you to, work on other business models and things like that are great. So, Jimmy, you want to add anything to that, or Tony?
For me, can you guys hear me all right? I clicked on mute, but it's still showing that it's muted.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right, perfect. For me, you hit on all of the main good points for OA, and really I like to know that there's a lot of tools, a lot of data in what I'm purchasing, just because I like to make sure that what I'm purchasing is going to sell and will sell profitably. And so online arbitrage gives me way more tools to be able to do that. And really, once you're able to figure out the best methods for your business in OA, then I love being able to outsource more of that to a VA. So there's just a lot of huge benefits to it to make it more automated. And I think that that's a great thing for what this group's going to be able to help with. So.
Great.
That's good. All right, man, we'll keep on going.
All right. So there are some other benefits that I want to share about the OA model as well. When it comes, I know with RA,
there are definitely you have the opportunity. Some of you might be buying discounted gift cards or some other processes to increase your ROI. With OA, one good thing I like about it is like you could stack. You could add discounts from the stores. You can add cashback from cashback sites, which is harder to do on the RA model. And additionally, you can add discounted gift cards. So when you're using all these three together, that's when the real power of OA comes in place, because now you're able to stack a lot more than just having a discounted gift card. Another thing I find with OA is just the right system. When you have the right system in place, finding deals become a lot more easier. Building replens becomes a lot more easier as well, because perhaps you find a store that you know is consistently giving you. I'm not talking about just at the time of clearance, but when you find a store that is consistently giving you a price point where you can make a certain ROI, that's your target ROI, you could keep sourcing from this store again and again. Which can eventually become a constant, consistent revenue stream, almost like wholesale, but you don't even have to buy the same large volume that you normally would need to buy in wholesale. And then with OA, there's a lot of opportunity, because there even the OA, it's less like RA. You could go to different, just like you have RA going, you can different stores. You might have different brands, relationship with managers. The same thing with OA. If you spend the time to kind of develop a particular niche of yours that you're good at. For example, my niche is usually I focus on shoes and clothing, and I'll discuss a little bit more later on why I enjoy that particular category. But it's a slightly more advanced category. It takes a little bit more time because there's a lot more variations to look at. There's more different sizes, and there's a little less competition due to some of those reasons. Same way, if you're going the extra mile when it comes to OA, maybe you try to add manual sourcing. You try to add other ways of adding your own website to tools like tactical arbitrage. There are more and more ways that you can find a slightly less crowded area where you could be making a lot of money consistently. I mean, I was just sharing in the team where I met a seller one time at a conference and said he just sources one product from this one website, and he makes somewhere between 60 and 80K a month just for buying this one product. I mean, it's a high margin. He makes almost $100 per sale, but all it takes is just that one product, and sometimes it's a matter of luck. Sometimes it's a matter of you just going, going the extra mile to find those kind of products. And there are tools like reverse sourcing, where you could kind of, if you find a product that hey, there's a good ROI in this one particular store, maybe you want to go look around using some other tools for some other suppliers, some other website that can help you find the same product at a better price. So that way, I think OA has, even though it's just one model, there are so many ways you can expand it to kind of give yourself an edge in the market.
Yeah, and really, one of the things that I'd like to mention is, when it comes to everything that you're talking about, like that guy that found that one product that does 60 to 80K, and everybody might be going, man, that must be nice, hit that one big winner. And it's kind of like, any type of arbitrage, you don't know until you go, right? You're not going to find anything unless you're looking. And so what we're going to be talking about in this group a lot is how do you create a system that runs without you, that it's looking for products whenever you're sleeping or whenever you're running other business models or things like that. So I don't know if y'all saw the poll that I just did about, do you have a virtual assistant? We had 11 people, about 80% of the group, that has never had a virtual assistant. So that tends to be a huge blockade of, you might not know how to train one. You might just be scared. You might think they're going to take all your money, take all your inventory, or maybe you're just uncomfortable. It's the unknown and you're afraid of that. So we are going to be talking a lot about how to hire VAs. I hope I'm not jumping too far into your talk there, Santosh, but
go ahead.
Yeah,
no,
so
yeah.
But VAs are definitely going to be a huge part of what we're going to discuss, and so you can train that VA on, maybe how to get outside of what everybody else is doing and go manually, like he has on there, manually sourcing, and that's always a great way to add some great products. But go ahead, buddy. I'll let you keep going.
Sure. And also, I wanted to share a little bit about, there's this one example of, you find one product that does great and you make bang on it, but just the process, there are different things that you also have to keep in mind with OA. And, as much as, it's an easy model, it also has because of the barrier to entry is low, there is a lot of competition. So you have to find different ways. And I think one of the biggest ways is have good systems in place, having a good VA, having a good support team, because then you're not just kind of jumping from one thing to another. You're able to create a system that kind of runs for itself, and over a period of time, you will find those hidden gems that could become your consistent replan items, or it could just be your process is so good that it just runs on its own. So just from a mindset point of view, I mean, there are going to be challenges in OA, just like any other model. So I do want to kind of make sure everybody does understand that, there could be competition. You're buying products and somebody else buys those products. There are going to be brand restrictions. That's the new norm in the Amazon world. When you're a new seller, your account, you might have to do certain volume before your account opens up to auto approval. But then the good part is, I know in the past when I've done RA and when I was very new with RA, I could spend 2 hours or 3 hours in the store and still be restricted on so much stuff that I might even come back only 3 items, and I felt that pain before. Now with OA, even though that pain is there, it's a little less because you're not in the store, you're not scanning, you're not tired. You probably can, at least you're sitting in front of a computer at home. You find a product that, you're not, you're gated on, but you can move on to the next one. Or you can have a VA do that for you, who actually go through the whole list and find out those products that you are not gated on, and then you can just spend the time making the purchasing decision. So those are some of the parts and parcels of OA, just like it's a model in whether you're ordering RA or wholesale. OA has its own pros and cons, but I do want to share with you so you come in with the right mindset that these are going to be a part of your OA growth. So another thing is the time taken to order today to product listing date could be a little longer. And why do I bring this up is because compared to RA, and I know a lot of people coming into or looking into this might be looking at from, who have done RA really well. And what I like about RA is you're buying the item, you're taking it back home or to your prep center or your office, and you ship it out the same day or the next day, and it's in Amazon within 48 hours. Now with OA, that's not the case. It might take about a week, it might take about 10 days, and you might need to be more organized in terms of your purchases and how you're doing OA so that you're able to get the most out of those purchases. And sometimes even you could have situations where some of your store accounts might get shut down. I know Target.com, they're not so friendly towards resellers. Whether you're an RA reseller or an OA, you could still, they might ask you not to buy it for resale, or you might get account. But these are all things that you have to be prepared for. And we'll share different ideas in our group about how to minimize those chances. And things sometimes come up with OA as well. Maybe you might have a damaged inventory. You order something and it's damaged, or it could get lost, or you could receive something that's the wrong item. So again, the processes that you put in place can help you be prepared for some of these challenges. And in the group, we want to be able to help you do some of that.
Definitely.
So just one thing that popped into my head is the stores that are doing online ordering in-store pickup. That's been really great lately with like Kohl's and Target and Walmart. You can, place your OA order and then go pick it up like an RA and then get it into the store, get it into Amazon really fast. So that's a good tip there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Tony. Yeah, that's something you can do too. Like once you find a good product, you can, and if you're going to be doing RA in the same store, for example, if Target is your store for the day, maybe you can kind of do your RA and do your OA pickup too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And, one of the things too, with OA, if you're not doing your own prepping and shipping, it's very easy to have a friend down the road or a neighbor or whoever, or just like a high school kid come over and help you prep and pack. I remember when I did my first OA order, it was after doing retail arbitrage for like a year, and I did OA and it came to the house. I opened the box, I put labels on it, I closed the box, and I sent it in. I was like, wow, that was so easy compared to, OA. I mean, it's not that much harder, but at any rate, you definitely end up with a lot of leftover packing material and things like that. So you do save on a little bit of cost there, for sure. Now, Santosh, do you want to address, when you get damaged inventory or lost inventory? Let's say you send it to a prep center. You buy 10 units of something and one's damaged. How does that normally work out?
What we normally do is we work with prep centers. Most of the prep centers that I work with, there are, you go through this process of finding things, different processes for yourself when you start using prep centers. But the one that I use, they mention in their notes that, hey, this is a damaged good. We have 10, you got 2 are damaged. And usually I try to find websites or work with websites that have a decent return policy. Okay, it just, even in my team, like if we find a website, one of my VAs have, first thing they do is check the return policy. And the reason we try to do that is if it's a website that says return that only has to be at the store, or perhaps it's a website that has a complicated return policy where you have to maybe chat with them or get on a phone call to get an RA return, we sometimes choose not to buy from those websites. So over a period of time, you will build up your own favorite store that you like to source from that have a slightly better process when it comes to damage inventory or loss inventory. Like for example, with shoes, most of the time, many of the brands, because shoe is one of those categories where, people exchange them, or it's not the right size or not right fit, they usually have a pretty easy return policy. Either they have a return slip that you can put in there, or you can ship it back at your own cost, and they will just kind of, or they'll give you a shipping label and they'll deduct something from that, which is fine. I'd rather have, depending on the situation, if it's incorrect, then they're going to take it back. Or if it's damaged, they're going to take it back. But depending on the situation, you'll have, wrong sizes or incorrect inventory. But most of the time, what we do is my VAs will either contact the prep center. We will generate the label from the UPS website or from the store. If their store has its own system for generating a return label, and we would send it back to the prep center along with our regular, we create the shipment. So we send them an email saying this shipment is ready, and these are the returns, please, and then we put that on to a Google spreadsheet that the prep center shares with us. And we put that PDF right there, the link to it, and they just put it up, print it out, and return it back along with the shipment dates. When the Amazon shipment goes out, they have the other shipment returned back to the store.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much for sharing all that. Lots of good little, it's all the weeds that we get caught in, right? It's like, oh, I placed my order, I sent it in. Oh, it's too damaged. Now what do I do? Like the things that we don't think about. Oh, there's a bad return policy. Like I actually I've placed orders with regular retail stores that will ship pallets of inventory, like home and kitchen goods and things like that. And I just this Christmas, I placed an online order. It was about like $2,500. Well, they shipped it like a week after it was supposed to. Well, their return policy was like 30 days, and they were like, well, look, it's late, so we'll take it back. Basically, not whenever, but outside of their window, they were making an exception because it was a lot of Christmas items. So you want to consider all those things. Yeah, if you have any questions too along the way, go ahead and post them in the comments, and we'll address them as we go. But other than that, we'll just keep going.
And the reason I wanted to share some of these, I would call them challenges, but I think they're just a good way, because when there are some barriers to entry, and if you find a system or a process around it, that gives you the edge in, when it comes to any business model. And I think in Amazon, that's definitely true. So there are some of the challenges, and when you're more, prepared for it and you create processes around them, you're in a better position to work and, be more successful with OA. So let's talk a little bit about the what do you really need to succeed with OA? Mindset. And that's why I wanted to share a little bit of the pros and cons of this model. When you can start at any level and just grow at your own pace. But you want to have that mindset from day one that, these are some of the, the pros and cons, and you build your workflow around that. Cash flow planning. OA, I think, because of the timeline, from the time you buy a product to when it reaches Amazon. Of course, if like Tony talked about, you pick it up, that's great. But many times if it's from a different state and it's going to a prep center, and from the prep center, it's reaching your Amazon warehouse, there's going to be a little bit of a time lag. And you have to be prepared for that in terms of your cash flow planning. And I would say on an average, it might be anywhere between a week to about 10 days by the time from the time you order it reaches Amazon. So just being ready and planning your cash flow. And if you're already doing RA, maybe you could add this OA model, and knowing that you're going to need a little bit extra time. But there are a lot of ways you could actually even benefit. Maybe use a credit card. Like, for example, some of the things that we like to do is we use credit cards like when the first day of the billing cycle is when we start. We have 3 or 4 business cards. And the first day of the billing cycle is when I really start using a specific card. And then you have 30 days to use it. And then after the billing statement, you get another 25 days. So you're talking about 55 days approximately from the first day. So if you kind of use your credit card, manage your credit cards in a nice way, this could definitely help you. So even though you need to plan for your cash flow, but you use your credit in a very nice way. And I think Paul probably knows about this even in wholesale, where you can get some terms and things like that. So you can use your credit card for a certain amount of time, and then the terms kick in. So the same kind of thing, if you keep cash flow, you plan it better, it's a lot more easier with OA. And then understanding the different tools. What I like a lot about OA is just the awesome number of tools. I mean, yes, we all have scanning apps that help with RA, but there's only so much you can do on a phone when you're trying to do RA. And I think with OA, there's a large amount of tools. And if you take the time to learn them, I mean, you don't have to learn every tool on day one, but over a period of time, you start with some simple things like maybe just reading keeper graphs and camel, and then gradually go on to add more tools under your belt, and you can kind of build systems around that. People, process, and systems. One of the most, it's a very common, it's a cliche thing that people say, but I think it's very important in any part of Amazon business. And when you're coming to OA, if you really want to automate it and outsource it, I think it's really important to get this right. When we talk about people, we talk about hiring VAs and systems that we can put in place. And the good part about OA, I think, is like, I know we all, especially those of us who live in the North America, hiring is a pretty expensive proposition. And then not only just the salary that we pay, but also all the other things in terms of payroll tax and unemployment and things like that. Now with OA, I like the fact that pretty much most of my team is international, so I pay them a pretty decent rate. But it's still a lot more easier for me to be able to set that process up. And I really think that's a great part of, with OA. And the next thing is having systems to really scale OA. And this is where I think we hope that in the group, you will be able to share with you all our systems and discuss how do you create systems that can help you scale? Because there are a lot of different things, like today, just for a small thing, maybe you, take the time and you order 10 different items from 10 different stores, and they all come up to your home, in a week from now. But you could be trying to just get OA. I'm trying to figure out where you bought it from, at what price you bought it from, and then struggling to just get it all together. Because there might be invoices for sure in the boxes, or maybe not. And then trying to backtrack and do all of that is not an easy thing to do. So I think having the right processes and systems is a big, important thing when you want to succeed with OA.
Yeah, and I'm definitely guilty of that. I've got a team of people that help me ship and list and prep and all that stuff. And I'll go to a website. It'll be midnight. I'm a night owl. I'm sourcing. I'm like, all right, that'll do. I'm gonna go to bed now. And I almost forget that I even ordered stuff. And then it shows up at my prepper's doorstep, and she's like, what is this? There's no, came from Target, but I don't know any. So. It'll certainly, that organization will drastically save you a lot of time, for sure. And then also
arguments in your marriage too.
Yeah, if your spouse is the one that's your shipper. Yeah, for sure. So that organization is key. Awesome. Good point stuff.
Yeah, and then that's what kind of led me to my journey of creating my own software tool. Because initially, when I was sourcing a lot and I was making all these purchases, I had hired a full-time VA just to help me keep up with that, go into my emails, pull all the history of what I was buying, put them into a school spreadsheet. But it was still not a seamless process. And that's when we came up with the software for our team, which would help us keep track of orders on live time. So right now with Amazon Tracker Pro, when you make a purchase with just one click, you can have data pushed to your Google spreadsheet, as well as when you go back to your Walmart page or Target page or wherever you're buying it from, you can again view that data that you already saved, and then add your cost, add the quantity, add where you're going to be shipping it to, all on the Amazon Tracker Pro pop-up, and in one click, just have all that pushed to your Google sheet. So that is one of the tools that we came up just to solve this problem of keeping in track of inventory. And I think that's important just from day one. When you're getting started OA, if you go with that mindset of, being organized, setting up systems and processes in place and having a good team, you can definitely scale it up. So like I said, I mean, like any good businessman, you want to focus on what you're good at and just find ways and systems to outsource the rest. Amazon is constantly, and then of course, by now we all know that many of us got that letter from, about the tax from California, and we keep, there's always something new happening every month. And one of the things many OA and RA sellers, we're often, we might get an IP infringement claim or inauthentic claim and things like that. And one of the things that it's important to do just for the safety is be able to respond to those, and I think it's very important, even if it is a legitimate, even if you know that what you bought is from a legal, proper source, you still want to make sure you have receipts, you have documentation to prove to Amazon that what you bought was, bought from a proper store. And again, when it comes to OA, being organized, that's why it comes back into that, the system of, being organized, because tomorrow if you get a claim from Amazon, they inauthentic or something along those lines, you should be able to, within a short period of time, find the receipt, explain to Amazon where you bought it from, and send it out to them. And all of that goes towards your Amazon metrics to keep your account safe. That's some of the mindset that I just wanted to share with folks when it comes to what you need to do to succeed with OA.
And there's a few things, like Marshall's is a great controversial store, right? Especially if you're doing name brand items, Nike, JanSport, Under Armour, whatever. Those or Coach, those brands are counterfeited sometimes, and so every once in a while you could get an inauthentic claim on those items. And so you do, regardless of what kind of sourcing you do, OA, RA, wholesale, you always want to have that documentation ready and handy to go to where, when Amazon does have a question, you can easily just provide the information and be good to go. So, and there's, one of the things I wanted to backtrack on, you're talking about the tools, just the amount of data to be able to make really, really informed decisions. You definitely get a lot more data for sure when you're doing online. And if you're out in a store, the other way to really do it is you scan your stuff, then you go home, you research it, and then you might have to go back to the store. Well, that's quite a process. So if you started with OA, found something, maybe it was really hot and it was out of stock online, well, then now you can go to whatever that store is if it's locally around you, and then you can source from that store directly. So good stuff.
So let's move on to the type of online sourcing. When it comes to OA, there are three different models of OA. The first one is manual sourcing, which is slightly harder to do, but you can definitely find some hidden gems when you're going to different websites and you're manually, scanning to check if that particular product is available for sale on Amazon and the pricing and so on and so forth. For example, you might go to a website's clearance section. Maybe you go to target.com, you look at the clearance, and then you manually kind of capture the name of the product, scan it into Amazon, see if it's on sale and what the price is. The second one is software sourcing. There are some awesome tools. One of the biggest ones out there is Tactical Arbitrage, but there are others out there as well that help you automate the process of sourcing, where you can choose the stores you want to scan, choose your ROI, choose your cost, choose your ROI, choose your, what is your target, different product. You can put different target ranges that you want to rank, and it helps kind of filter out. It's not going to give you everything you need to make the final buying decision, but it gives you a point from where you can start onwards and, go on and start to build your sourcing list. And these are some of the things that we're going to be sharing in our OA group in terms of how we're going to use all these different models to scale. And the third, of course, is buying a list. We're going to be offering our own list in our OA group. But that's a great way to start scaling or start, the process, get your feet wet. You have a few leads. You can try buying them. Try to set up your process in terms of your Google Sheets or spreadsheets on how to keep track of those inventories. Start to hire VA. So what we wanted to do is to give you all the methods to source and also provide you with some amount of leads that can help you get started out.
So really quick, I want to chime in about two things, the buying list and the manual sourcing. The buying list, I was about to make a poll about this and see how many people have bought a list. Many new sellers start out, right? They go, oh, I'm going to go buy a list and get those leads to me. Well, the assumption typically is, I'm going to get these 10 products in, I'm going to buy right off the list, and then I'm going to go make money. Well, what happens is that list went out to 50 or 100 sellers just like you, and a percentage did the exact same thing. And when you looked at it, there was an 80% ROI. By the time you get it sent to your door and sent to Amazon and checked in and it's live, now it's a 20% ROI. and you go, oh, lists don't work. and that's a very common experience. I did the exact same thing. And really the best way to use a list is as leads. Like a buddy of mine, he used to be in the insurance world, and he would buy leads that he would go and work, and he would work these leads and they would be potential sales. So what it is, you look at this as leads where, let's say you get a list and there's something at worldmarket.com. Well, at World Market, let's say it's, I don't know, some cookies, right? There's some chocolate chip cookies. Well, maybe the chocolate chips are selling really well, but maybe there's the sugar cookies that do also really well, but they're not on the list. So you use the chocolate chip cookies to lead you to the sugar cookies. I don't know why I went with cookies. Maybe I'm hungry. But you get my point. So you don't buy directly off the list necessarily. You use them as leads. It's the same way I talked about this in my RA group. Like, look, this is great, to have this thing, you go and find it. Well, really what it should do is direct you to that portion of the store. And now, hey, there might be some other hidden gems around here as well. And then the other thing I want to mention is manual sourcing. Honestly, I think that's a strategy in and of itself because, tactical arbitrage, it has, everybody has access to those, whatever it is, 150, 200 websites that they're linked to. So if you find a website that's not on there, that is profitable, that you do have to manually search on, well, then now you've probably hit some gold. And it's that, again, that going the extra mile, digging deeper. I've got a website like that, again, I can go and almost at any given point spend 1,000 to 1,500 in an hour or two, and it's copy pasting the old school way back and forth to the site. But like the kicker with that website is the brand owner of the website sells on Amazon, but they do merchant fulfilled. They don't understand the importance of FBA. So I can buy when they run a special sale, come in at FBA, raise the price 10 to 20%, and get the buy box. And they don't care. They're happy to, they haven't kicked me off yet. So, that's important there. So, Toni, you want to add anything to that?
No, I had that same experience with when I first started selling. I bought a list and I treated the list as hey, this is what you should go and buy, and these are the only things you should go and buy, and failed miserably. So I would just, I agree with you, or I like how you call them leads and not deals, because they should be pointing you in the right direction of brands and stores and categories to look at, but you shouldn't stop there. And the manual sourcing, so this may be like newbie level of online arbitrage, but I have pretty good luck pulling up a website and then just using image capture on my phone, finding products like that. So that's how I've been doing it. I'm really excited to learn more efficient ways of online arbitrage.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yeah,
People.
and like Jimmy, Paul was talking about, is that a list in any case, whether you're from our group or from you're using some other list, it should always be a starting point. Just to kind of give you an idea of, hey, why is this a good lead? What can I take out of that? Maybe follow the rabbit trails, because often you might find if that particular product is has a good rank, maybe there's a different color, there's a different size, maybe the same brand has some other products on sale. So when you take that extra, couple of minutes to do the research, you'll find further. So we call like following the rabbit trails, but that's a great way that you want to use any list, including ours, to kind of grow and scale. So, but I wanted to share with you some of the different ways that, of online sourcing and how you can use some of them to, find your own methodology that works better and to scale.
Awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about how, just to kind of wrap up, really speaking, like what does an OA funnel really look like, So when it comes to OA, here's the way we have it set up in our own business, and, is that you want to have some sort of, method, whether it's leads, manual software, VA sourcing, you want to bring as much as you can into your funnel. Then have some either you or you can hire someone to be a reviewer who can then review those leads, because I find there's always, it's like a second level check. So you have someone bring in the lead, whether you're buying them or you have the software, then you have a reviewer that can kind of review them and make sure they are good quality leads that meet your criteria as a seller. And most of what I'm talking about here is how we're going to help you or show you how you can design a sort of a semi-automated system for OA. And this is how I have it set up in my own personal business right now. And then you have a purchaser. They could be the same person, the reviewer, or it could be you as a seller. So if you have a team of maybe 2 or 3 VAs, or you could just have, even to start, it could be one, where they do the first level and you be the purchaser, the reviewer, and then buy the items, put them on a tracking spreadsheet, make sure you kind of capture the right when you're buying it, and then have it shipped to your home or to the prep center. And then you have your VA, again, who can be an order tracker, because often the items could not be, probably they didn't ship it out on time, or you don't know where it went. So just you want to make sure the inventory that you bought reaches your prep center or your home, and it gets sent to Amazon correctly. And then your prep service, or it could either be an in-house prep service or an outsourced one. But again, that's a big part of your workflow, is having sure that everything comes through a lead system, seen by a reviewer, a purchaser, and then you order it, you track it, you create systems around that, and then have it all shipped to Amazon. So this is sort of how I think a very simple way of bringing it all together in terms of how you want to set up an OA system to be able to scale it and grow it and automate it for yourself. But when you do this, when you create the right system all around this, you'll find that the OA model can be a model that you can easily add on to any existing Amazon model and create a good amount of revenue and income for yourself.
Where do you find people have the most success starting in the funnel? Should you start at the top, outsourcing, or?
Yeah, so what I recommend first is that if you're the as an Amazon seller, is to always start on the top of the funnel. You may want to be the first one to start to kind of find 4 or 5 leads, or maybe start learning the software a little bit. Because even when you're hiring a VA, there's some amount of the whole thing about a VA is that they require some amount of direction from you. Whether they have the experience or don't have the experience, it's good for the seller themselves to be able to, like, I spent a lot of time learning tactical arbitrage in my earlier career when I was starting to start using OA as a business model really well. And this way it helped me train my VAs. And there are a lot of trainings right now available today that you can always have your VA learn on your own as well. But I recommend that getting familiar with the whole process of reviewing your leads, because tomorrow you're able to kind of tell your VA, was that a good lead? Maybe not. Maybe you need to improve on the quality of your lead. Hey, this did not meet my criteria, or things like that. So that's a great place to start, is just to understand how to analyze leads, how to look at different softwares, how to read Keepa. Because then once you have that in place, the first step would be perhaps hiring a VA to help you get your leads. If you're using a buy list, use those lists to get some ideas, like we were just discussed, to get, follow the rabbit trail to find something else that's not on a list that you still think could be a good deal.
Yeah. And I think a common mistake too that happens with VAs, and I did this for the first time I hired one, is I was expecting, hey, look, I'm going to tell you this thing one time. I'm going to show you, how to read a Keepa chart. I'm going to show you what my parameters are, and you're going to just produce this, 10, 20 leads a day for me, and they're going to come to my inbox, and it's all going to be good. And I didn't realize the amount of attention that was needed. And my personality, I'm more of a set it and forget it. I want to tell you this once, and then I want to walk away, and I expect everything to be perfect. But definitely it takes a little bit more effort than what is assumed, for sure. And, even cross-cultural barriers and things like that. If you're hiring somebody in the Philippines, knowing just read one basic article about how to work with a Filipino, and that will help you tremendously. And just, their type of culture. I had a VA that they're really, one of their close friends passed away. Well, during that time frame, I didn't hear from them for 2 weeks. I was like, they just fell off the face of the earth. Well, then to come to find out, they were like, going through a difficult time, and just the way that they handle those scenarios in their culture, like in the US, it's a lot of, you get back to work type thing. And so anyways, it helps to definitely educate yourself on who you're working with, what kind of leadership do they need, and also even asking yourself, do I want to be that leader for that person? And because there will be challenges along the way for sure, but this funnel definitely nails it down. But as many of you can experience that, if you're currently practicing OA, you realize the bottlenecks, right, that happen If you flip this funnel upside down and you're looking at the workflow of how can I expand my business? It's just me. I'm the one doing all the prepping, shipping, packing, sourcing. I need somebody else to help me. Well, what do I outsource? You know, and finding those leads can be one of the most affordable ways to expedite that sourcing, to remove you as that bottleneck of being the only one that finds product. Because you might be thinking in your head, I'm the only one who knows how to find the best products out there. And unfortunately, that's not true. Because if you could just teach that to somebody else, to 2 or 3 other people, imagine if you had 2 or 3 of you doing that, man, just your business would blow up. So good stuff, man. I do love the funnel.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to share on the same line is that your VAs can move through this funnel too. For example, what do I mean by that? Like when I hire my VAs, usually speaking, now they've all kind of do their different tasks. I have them all start with leads because they're very simple tasks to start with, and there's a lot of resources out there for doing that. And then if you find that your VA is good at doing that, and you're looking at their lead, you can see the quality of work they're doing, and also you get an idea of their general their mindset, how punctual they are at logging in at time, the kind of question they ask. So what I have usually done is, like, I have about 3 or 4 VAs. I've gone all the way up to 6 at one point in time, and then depending on where my business is, some of them leave, some of them move on, and I've had 3 of them stay with me for almost 2 years now. So what I usually do is have the VAs go through this funnel themselves. Like, they start as finding leads, and then I find, hey, they're doing a good job. Maybe I can have them be a reviewer. And then at one point I say, hey, listen, you're doing this. Can you start to track my shipments? I'm placing all these orders. We're putting them on an Excel sheet. I want you to go and make sure they're reaching the prep center on time. So if after about a week or 10 days, it's not there, I want you to go online, log into my the account, and go and message the company saying we haven't received the order. So once you find one good VA, I think OA, you're just one good VA away from outsourcing everything. So once you find your first good VA, and I think it happened for me too, I went through a couple of not so great VAs initially, and I was also very new to the initial process. And then as I got better, started to like lead them in a better way. For example, now what I do is every time I first learn a process, I just try to make a quick video. Maybe it's a 2 or 3 minute video. There's a quick tool. I'll be happy to share it with the folks here. It's called Screencast-O-Matic. I pay less than, I think, $1 or something. Let me see right here. And I just, it's not a Screencast-O-Matic is what it's called. And I just make quick videos because, yes, I could make documents and PowerPoints and all that stuff. But sometimes, we're all busy Amazon sellers. So this is one of those tools that I use. And I think it's even free for the first 15 minutes. I just make a quick video, post it send it to my VA, and then I also have a Google spreadsheet where I post the same video link so that if I have to show it to the next VA, I just show the list of all the videos, and they can go back and watch it. So keep the video short, like I would say 15, 20 minutes for one particular process. But that's a great way to get your VAs trained and moving along this funnel as well. So now I have one VA who pretty much has done all this for me. And depending on the situation, they can always help out. If suppose there's a good Thanksgiving sale, I'll say, okay, these 22 days, I want you to just focus on leads. I just need as much leads as you want. And then next week, get back into your other tasks. And of course, not only can these VAs help you with leading sourcing, but a lot of other backend tasks, that many of these VAs can start doing for you, like administrative tasks, reimbursement from Amazon, products that, did not get returned. So different things that your VAs can all gradually help you. But I think it's a very easy task to have a VA hired and trained just for leads and then move them along. Because sometimes the challenge is when you're very new, like, what do I have my VA do? And I think that sometimes is when you're a really new seller can help. And that's what we want to help you do is, in the group is all well, is help you kind of find a VA, help you kind of through the process of, getting someone that's a good fit for you by, sharing some ideas, tips, tools, and things that we can do.
Something to add too is cost. Okay, so a VA, typically can start around $2.50 an hour, $3 an hour. I would say expensive for the types of tasks we're talking about is what, $5, $6 an hour, would you say?
I think it's anywhere between 2.5 to 4 is pretty reasonable. There are, especially when someone is starting out, I mean, based on what my experience is, they usually are okay with that 2.5 to 3 range. And if they become a valuable part of your team, I think definitely, every seller would be more than happy to pay for someone, but on an average, $2.5 to $3 an hour is what I've seen. 4 or 5 is when someone is really good and has advanced skills, you can start paying them around that range.
Yeah, and so my point is that it could run you anywhere from $400 to $500 a month potentially for a virtual assistant. So you need to ask yourself, what kind of return do you want from them? Are you even at a place to dish out that kind of cash? Do you need to be at, do you need to be doing your own sourcing for a little bit longer? So, hiring a virtual assistant isn't something that you tend to just do right out the gate. I'm the type of guy who, when I started selling on Amazon 4 years ago, I had $300. I threw $300 at the pot. And right as I started doing Amazon, I heard people talking about the same thing we're talking about. Hey, go hire some virtual assistants, build your team, automate your business. I will be a testimony and say there is a time and a place to automate your business. It's not for everybody at this instance. Especially if you are in a cash flow crunch, if you're barely making ends meet, things like that. So really consider the cost. Just, yes, we definitely promote virtual assistants. They're super helpful, but just like every good thing can be great, every good thing can also turn around and be a pain. And you might have a bad experience, or maybe they cost you too much, or whatever. There's vetting services out there that will vet virtual assistants before you hire them. They're going to be a lot more expensive, probably double the cost of what you would typically pay if you are hiring your own through, my favorite portal is onlinejobs.ph, is where I like to go. And then once you hire a good VA, then you can do things like asking them, hey, do you have any other friends that also do this or are also interested? And then they even work in the same region together, and then you can hire your own, start expanding, get your own team. So, but I just wanted to share that just because there is this, there tends to be the like, oh, virtual assistants, they're fantastic. But we often shy away from the, like Santosh mentioned, he hired a few bad ones before getting a few good ones. And so that's a pretty common experience. So anything else you want to add about that?
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's okay to hire, even if you hire someone that's bad, you learn in the process, when I was new, I was learning too. And I don't know if the way was bad or maybe I didn't give the right instructions, but it was just a learning curve. So I think it's important for us to kind of go with that mindset from day one. And you might get lucky and, find a great VA who has all the experience, and even if you do, I would still recommend that you kind of keep track, see what they're doing, and, you micromanage it till you can build that trust with them.
Yep.
So would you recommend getting someone that does have experience and maybe their bad habits that come along with them, or just getting someone fresh that you train the way you want?
It depends on where you are in your business. If you're a very kind of, I like to manage things a lot, but I'm sort of micromanage things a lot. So I prefer to have a VA who I've done both. Okay, well, I had VAs who had some experience and those that don't. And it just takes sometimes the learning curve. And sometimes the people who have done some amount of Amazon tasks, but are familiar with a few things, maybe they don't necessarily have done, in the past, there was a lot of Amazon's VAs in the market that were doing merchant fulfilled. They knew a few things about ASIN, about rank and all those kind of things, but they didn't know exactly how to source. So at the same time, you're not going to always find this as the Amazon number of Amazon sellers keeps going up in the market, the number of VAs who are available are also going to go down. It's just inversely proportional because the demand is more. So I've done both. I don't think anything one is better or worse. Like if you already have a good process in place, you have videos, you have done a few tutorials, and you bring in a new person who doesn't have any knowledge, you can just put them into your system and say, hey, watch all these videos, do all these things, and they might get going. And maybe if you're not there when you hire someone else who already has some amount of maybe bad habits, but they still have enough knowledge, that could be your first VA who can help you put some process in place because they already know a few things and they say, hey, this is how I used to do it before, and say, okay, I can adopt that and we'll do something similar until you find something better. So I don't think there's any right or wrong. It just comes depending on where you are and your luck at that point when you post a job and who applies for it.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what right now and what we want to achieve with our Q1 OA group. We're definitely going to talk about, in our group about what we came back on my first slide, how to help you build people, processes, systems, and additionally give you the OA leads to kind of get you up and running. A big part of the focus is going to initially be just setting up, building a VA team, hiring, managing, communication, just help you get past that initial, concerns about how do I hire a VA? What do I ask them? What question do I ask them? What's a good salary point? How you track a VA, the time management, what kind of tools can you use to set up, I mean, yeah, I know Facebook is always, you can always do Facebook or Skype, but there are more advanced tools that we can use. Like I use Slack, for example. We have different VAs, we have channels. I know Paul does the same thing too. So we're going to help you kind of do some of that when the initial stages when it comes to VAs. And the next question is, what can be outsourced? Something that we, having been in doing OA and having scaled it with the help of VAs, we want to be able to help you and guide you through that process of what can you really source? Because that's sometimes the big question is like, what can I really source? Because, there are so many different parts of your Amazon business. And I know with our funnel, we discussed a few, but that's something else that we want to get into. And there's a framework to set up your processes. Like I think Google Sheets, I know many of you might have some experience with Google Sheets, but it's a free software through your Google, through your Gmail that can help you keep track of your inventory, can help you create some different great systems and just organize your purchases. So we want to help you set up that framework that you can then build off of as you build and scale your systems. And then OS software, we're going to get a little bit into the fundamentals of TA, how to run a search, what does TA do? I mean, tactical arbitrage, how you can start using it. There are some full-fledged courses out there that just do only TA. So we want to include TA, the basics of, how you're going to set up searches and kind of get your feet wet, because sometimes if a software has a lot of features, when you get started out, you might not know where to start. So we want to make that process easier for you. And just a lot of different things about bulk shipments, setting up inventory lab with OA. How do you make that process easier? Or if you want to create shipments on SellerCenter to help you with your repricer systems, again, with Google Spreadsheets, so help you with those systems. And there are a lot of Chrome extensions that we want to, which makes a big difference in your Amazon business. And we're going to get into all of that as well. RevSeller, Amazon Tracker Pro, AZ Insight, and some other ones that are out there that can definitely help you scale. For example, I use LastPass, which is, I think, a great tool. And if you're watching this video and you want to get started out, or if you already have VAs, I think it's a great tool. And me and Paul were talking about some of the concerns that sometimes as Amazon sellers we might even have is like, how do I give access to my VA? Can my VA have access to my Amazon seller account? So what I've done personally, for example, is I have created sub-user accounts in my Amazon Seller Central account. So I created an email. And then I create a sub-user account with restricted access and share that particular email password with my VA. So they're able to log into an Amazon seller account, but it's a sub-user account. And I can also restrict access as far as how much data they can see, what they can do. And again, even that password, I shared using a LastPass. So I have them create a LastPass account, and then, which is a free account. And then I share that specific LastPass password with them, and with access to only be able to not view it, but they can automatically, LastPass is sort of an extension that automatically fills username and passwords into a website without even displaying it. So this is just one simple tool that I've used, and it's great because what we do is we have all these different OA websites that one of my VAs is creating all these accounts with, but it all goes in a folder that we then can share commonly with all the other VAs. But no one can really see the passwords to do that. Same with, like, for example, credit cards. Like if I have one of my VAs who actually helps me with purchasing. So we use LastPass, and we'll discuss in the group how we kind of do it securely, so that this way you're able to have someone help you actually make purchases, which can sometimes be a time-consuming task as well, and do it securely, to the best possible. There's no such thing as 100% secure, but as secure as possible once you get into the workflow.
And then there's the way that he's mentioned all this too is, let's say that something goes south with that virtual assistant. Well, you can pull the plug and not worry about them getting mad at you and buying a car on your credit card in the Philippines, or, doing something crazy. So it is all put together and organized. So you can see, I mean, I'm listening, Santosh, to you talking. It's like there is so many minor details. The devil's always in the details, right? There's so many minor details in all of this. The simple statement of I'm going to go hire a virtual assistant, that is a loaded statement. And there's a lot that comes with all of that. So even if you are listening to this right now and you're going, I am not at all at a place to hire a virtual assistant, although we are going to be talking quite extensively about that in the group, because more than likely a lot of the people that do join will be at that point where they just need a little leg up, somebody with some experience to just share, again, all these little details about, LastPass and how do you track all these things. But even if you're not going to hire a virtual assistant, I would guarantee you that there's still going to be plenty of information in here. That one, you can have all the training for the VA stuff down the road, but then also just the tools that we're going to be talking about, little tips and tricks. And then in addition to that, obviously the leads list that we're going to be doing. So Santosh, do you have anything about the leads on? Is there one more slide or is this the last one?
This is the last slide, so go ahead.
This is the last one. So the OA leads, we're going to be providing 200, at least 200, if not more, leads a month that will be delivered Monday through Friday, to your email. Just like a typical list. Many of you mentioned that you've purchased one before, but it will be a typical list. So I don't know what lists you've purchased in the past, but you can imagine that they typically range anywhere from 100 to 150. Depending on how many people they go out to. I've seen them as much as 200 a month, if it's a list that's going out to 25 people. So another question that you're probably going to have is how many people are you allowing in the group? That's always a question that we get. We are going to cap this at 100 paying members. Now, again, we're going to be posting a lot of leads, and we're not going to be posting only leads that are ungated. So we will be posting leads, occasionally from brands that we just know that there's going to be people that are going to be gated from these. But then we're also going to be posting many that are ungated. As Santosh mentioned, we will be doing a lot of shoes for sure. So I don't think you actually mentioned, why do you like shoes so much? You touched on it a little bit about variations. There's a little bit more information that you have to dig into. Speak to the profit side of that. Why do you like them so much?
Okay. One of the reasons that I when I started out, I've done shoes. I started doing toys, health and beauty, groceries, and then gradually I moved on to shoes and clothing. One of the things I liked, and I found it a slightly a better fit when it came with the OA, for different reasons. One, as you grow your business, shoes, it's a gated, largely a gated group of brands. So there's a little less competition right at that stage. Then also in terms of your knowledge, it's slightly a little bit more of an advanced skill because of the different sizes and colors. So that's why in the group, we want to be able to, share some of those advanced skills. So I'm sure for many people, creating systems is one thing, but also you want to have that extra edge. When it comes to shoes and clothing, one of the things is that it's just a slightly more advanced skill to have. So that's why we want to bring it into the group. When it comes to leads, we find that, again, there's a much higher profit margin, especially when you're trying to get into building a team when it comes to OVAs and you're trying to use prep centers. You'll find that there's a certain cost coming into it place, right? Let's say you're hiring a VA for $3 an hour. Then you have a prep center maybe just charging $1.50. So there's always these sort of costs that are coming in place. And I find that when it comes to shoes, with your margins usually being a little bit more than around $8 or $10 a sale of a shoe and up. So you kind of have that space where you're able to pay your VAs and pay all these other additional costs to help you automate the system. At the same time, you have that profit margin in place that gives you the capacity to make profit after that. So that's one of the reasons when it comes to after trying different products. And I think that there's a lot. You can still, it's not that you don't have to do other brands or your other categories, but I just kind of like shoes a little bit more. And then over a period of time, I also find that when it comes to some other categories, now we all deal with, IP infringement and those kind of situations. And there are more and more sellers. It's a model out there that you're trying to get brands to become a sole brand selling Amazon seller. And then you're trying to get people off the list. When it comes to shoes and clothing, because they're available in so many different places, whether it's Nike or Under Armour or any of their bigger brands. As long as you have good receipts and good systems in place, you're able to, you don't get that much amount of, IP infringement claims and things like that, over a period of time, I found out it's slightly a better category. So that's why I personally like the shoes and clothing, because of all these reasons. And that's why we want to bring that into the OA group. Plus, from a cost perspective, I've seen that most of the time shoe lists are a lot more expensive, shoe and clothing. Even if, outside in the past when I purchased lists. So I think it'll be a good value addition to the group to get a higher quality list where there's more profit to make. So even if you buy enough leads from the idea that you get from this list, we hope that you'll be able to cover the cost of the group.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and unshare your screen, Santosh. I'm going to share the sales page. I'm going to post the link here in the comments. In there, and I know a few of you may have come from different groups. This webinar got posted around, so I just ask that you respect the link that was posted in that group. Go ahead, and go ahead and click on those links from those groups, and I'm going to go ahead and share the sales page with you here. And can you see that? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, Tony, you're muted. Sorry, I couldn't see you. So this is the FBA Insiders Q1 online arbitrage. So everything in here we just spoke about. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay, just making sure. So somebody just asked the question, what about the OA, the parameters? So for our shoes and clothing, our minimum rank will be 150,000, minimum ROI 40%, and a minimum $8 profit. All other categories we're going to be in the top 1 to 2% rank, 40% ROI, and a minimum of $5 profit. So that top 1 to 2% rank, we will be pretty stingy on the leads that are posted, for sure. If you've ever looked at like the top 1% of home and kitchen, that's a really high number. Much less 2%, that's a really high number. So we will be mindful of that. We've got myself, Tony, Santosh, Jimmy. There's a few other people. My sister Jenny is actually helping us with this. So we've got a whole team of ourselves domestically, and then also virtual assistants that we're working with to really bring you a whole host and variety of leads. So Santosh and I were talking, we didn't want to just do shoes and clothing, although we know you can make a lot of money with shoes and clothing. But some of you might say, well, I'd also like to do toys or home and kitchen or sports and outdoors or electronics or whatever. So we're not going to discriminate, but we will be providing majority of shoes and clothing for sure. And then a few other things that you get 3 months free access to Azon Tracker Pro. And Santosh humbly did not promote it that much today, but it is definitely an amazing tool. We're going to be talking a lot about it. You don't have to use this to be successful, but as he mentioned, a lot throughout this webinar, organization is key, and Azon Tracker Pro is that organization tool for sure. So the content that we're going to be covering throughout from starting basically today until about the middle of April, we're going to be covering all of this information, intro into OA, which is kind of a few things we touched on today, but dig into it a little bit deeper. VA management, tactical arbitrage, inventory management, and then some Chrome extensions. And here at the bottom, some tidbits. We'll be talking about repricing, how to create your own listings, and how to add variations to existing listings. I know some sellers that their whole business model is nothing but adding variations to existing listings and being the only seller in those variations. So you find let's say the shirt, there's the small, medium, large, but no extra large. Well, you add the extra large and you're the only seller for a certain period of time. And we're going to be, this is the basics of what we're going to be covering. We're going to be adding, answering a lot of questions, but in essence, by the time the group ends, you should be having a full picture of what it's like day to day to operate an online arbitrage. So we were talking about numbers. What was the number that you said that you think that somebody could easily add to their bottom line or to their top line revenue, Santosh? What was that number you were saying?
Yeah, like, for example, me and Paul were talking about it. Like, I think like it's pretty easy to add. For example, if someone were to sourcing at least $1,000 per day, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a day, which is usually
they're spending 1,000 to 1,000.
Yeah, they're spending, they're buying, which is with the help of VAs, I think it's very reasonable, because you're talking about maybe if your each order value is even maybe $100 if you're buying a shoe or anything else, because you're usually in that ballpark to get free shipping and things like that. Between $50 to $100 to get free shipping and everything. And if you're able to order maybe even 10 orders per day, or 10 different items, we're talking about approximately $30,000 in revenue. I'm talking in terms of what you can sell, and even at a 10% margin, we're talking about $3,000 per month of profit. So our goal is like, how irrespective of wherever you are in your Amazon business model, to kind of help you create those kind of systems that can at least, put in place that can help you do that. And I think with our program and with the leads and everything else we provide, I think that's a very reasonable goal for every seller that just joined that group.
Yeah, for sure. And so we will be closing it off, just to let y'all know. Probably towards the middle end of January, we're going to cap it just so we don't want people coming in towards the tail end, because one of the things I mentioned inside the group is talking about how really this is kind of a family. For the next 3 months, whoever comes into this thing, we're going to be like family. You're going to have access to Santosh, myself, Tony, Jimmy, everybody else, all these experts. Some of us are, 6-7 figure sellers, and we've been doing this for a while. We've been around the block. So we would, you have access to us for 3 months, and you get to just pick our brains. We're going to give you everything that we got, and really, hopefully set you on this, either add or create a brand new income stream for you via online arbitrage. And so, that's about all I got. So go ahead.
I did want to add, when I was talking about the numbers, I do want to make sure everybody does understand that those are just numbers that figure there as a ballpark, because everybody depends on each one's time and effort. But I know we're talking about VAs and systems and processes, so I just want to give out a ballpark figure. Your results may vary, and it all depends on the effort that every seller puts in. But I just want to add, like, hey, this is what is feasible. If you follow, you're able to have success. I think you're from a cost perspective, also from a sourcing budget perspective. If you're kind of coming into a group trying to make X amount of money, you sort of have to have some sort of budget towards building up the cash flow, buying products, selling them, and so that's why I want to set up some sort of framework of what kind of mindset a seller can have to get the most out of this group.
Yeah, and if you are where I was 4 years ago with $300, you're not going to sell $30K in a month on a $300 investment. It's just not going to happen. And to boot, one of the things with shoes typically is a slower sell-through rate compared to other products. Now, again, it all depends on your parameters. I mean, and what you find. Like, I've found shoes at Marshall's that I bought for $20, sold them for $120 in a week, and just had those crazy margins. That doesn't happen all the time. Again, same thing for OA, as Santosh was mentioning earlier, that they, slower turnaround times, you have to let it ship to you, and then ship it in and all that kind of stuff. So, and as he mentioned, the numbers that he's talking about, that's spending $1,000 to $1,500 per day. But if you have that capital, you can very easily automate that. Have virtual assistants safely make purchases for you. Most people, when they talk about VAs, they don't talk about having them spend their money for them. They talk about having them do everything else under the sun but that. And so to do that, to find somebody that's doing that successfully, is really a gem, I would think. And, finding a VA that you can trust, and how do you know you can trust them, and what's the systems that you need in place. So again, we really hope that whoever does come in, they're gonna walk out with just an amazing wealth of information. We're going to be doing weekly webinars. We're going to be having content. There's actually a section inside the group where it's called units. So if you've ever taken an online college course, you've seen units to where there's module 1, module 2, module 3. We're going to have it kind of set up like that, little organized for you. And just to let you know, that information isn't there yet. We're gearing up, where everything's getting organized and all that. Come January 1, we're going to be hitting the ground running, and Q1 is just going to be phenomenal. So I'm really excited about it. Do y'all have any questions? Go ahead.
This is the first, we're just launching this group, right? So everything is, this is a brand new group. There's some questions. So we have 2 questions, kind of a good segue. Someone's asking, will you teach us how to find the deals too, like teaching how to fish?
Yeah, did I not show that part on the, so there's at the bottom of,
people are coming in and out, so.
Okay, no, I might not have shown that, but at the bottom, I know I didn't say it, I actually mentioned we will be giving you fish, and we're also going to be teaching you how to fish. So we're going to be giving you leads, and we're going to show you how to find your own leads. Whether that be through manual searching, tactical arbitrage, hiring your own VA to have them do it for you, and so forth. So yes, you will be able to sustain yourself outside of the group. That's our goal.
So we're getting deals and education.
Yeah, absolutely. And our real goal, my goal in these groups, and we did the same thing in the RA, look, the leads are awesome. And I know a lot of people come in for the leads because that's like, hey, it's money right there. It's that quick, you get the lead, you go and buy the thing, or you go into the website and you find other products, and you're making money that way. The long-term investment is the education. It is the mindset, meeting other sellers, being able to learn new tips and tricks. Like, for example, you might be one of those people that your password for your bank account, your websites, and everything is the exact same password because you don't want to remember 5,000 passwords. Well, we're going to tell you about LastPass. And once you start learning how to use LastPass, then now you can have all these secure passwords and have them organized. Once you learn about how to use Azon Tracker Pro, your brain space will get a lot bigger because you no longer have to keep everything tucked up in your brain. So if organization isn't your thing, we're definitely going to be promoting that and talking about it. There's going to be a lot of things that we're probably going to forget to mention today on this webinar that will come out just throughout the group, throughout the duration, just questions that will come up and things like that.
So do you think that there's room for, someone's asking, they want to do RA, but between OA and wholesale, do you think there's room for RA is what they say?
Ask that. Go ahead, Santosh.
I think definitely so, because maybe initially when you're very new, or if you're trying to move any business from going RA, you want to add OA, there might be a little bit of a learning curve. So if you spend that time initially, first learning a little bit and then setting up those processes in place, you can definitely do that. I know a lot of sellers who do RA during the day and have their evening time when they're back after dinner, sit down and do some amount of OA and wholesale. If you have your VAs, for example, working overnight for you, when you wake up in the morning, you can spend some time doing, your purchasing before you move on to doing RA. So it's definitely a model that you can do together, and actually it supplements. And it's a great one too, because from a cash flow perspective, especially, I think it's good because your RA moves a lot more faster in terms of your cash flow as compared to an OA because of the time league. So yes, you can definitely bring both into that place. And of course, Paul can talk about wholesale as well.
Yeah, so we'll probably dig into wholesale a little bit. I mean, it's such an easy segue to go from, sourcing products to sourcing companies, and to have a virtual assistant just change their shift a little bit. And so we'll probably touch on it for sure. And yeah, I mean, wholesale, just to let y'all know, wholesale is a large portion of my business. And it's phenomenal. One aspect, if we wanted to mention one greater thing about wholesale compared to OA is that there's Target.com, they're not going to prep it and ship it to Amazon for you, right? If they find out what you're doing, actually, they're going to kick you off their website. But if, with wholesale, I've got multiple suppliers that will ship direct to Amazon for me. But definitely with wholesale, I mean, it's the same principle where I'll have it ship also to a prep center. And my last little tip about prep centers would be to, if you find one, stick with that guy, like send them everything that you got. And what I found at least is my rates went way down. Like if I told you what my rates were, you'd be like, there's no way that's even real. So stick with those guys, and have that steadfastness, stick with them. And I think that'll really pay off in the end for sure. So any other questions, we'd be glad to answer them. I saw somebody asked, when will we be starting the leads? Santosh, I believe you had a few that you were going to load today, correct?
Yeah, we're going to start putting some sample leads for the next 3-4 days, because technically the group doesn't start till the first week of Jan. But we're just, as we're setting up our process, we're going to start dropping some leads in there daily, just to get people a little bit of flavor of what we're going to be doing. And in the meantime, we're going to let people come in, and we're going to build up our emails, so that way we have from the day we cut off having anybody else join, we're going to be able to send directly to people's emails as well. So we're going to just this week, especially with the holidays, pretty much Christmas and New Year, all the staff are also going to be working less hours. So just going to just sample leads for next this 1 week, and then starting from Jan 2nd, we'll have everything in place.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be slowly rolling out the content and all those things. Y'all just be patient. We have a word down here. I'm from Louisiana. Our word for extra is lagniappe. That's your word for the day. We're going to have some lagniappe deals. That just means we'll have some extra deals for you in there. And so, feel free to ask us any questions. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave our the contact email. It's fbainsiders@gmail.com. So if you have any questions at all, you can shoot some over there. And then again, there's actually a comments section on the sales page down at the bottom. So there's Facebook comments if you have any questions after this group as well. So man, thank y'all so much. We went, wow, it's almost an hour and a half. So very good. We'll have this recording. So we'll be posting it around the various groups that you've come from. So thank y'all so much for sticking with us. Santosh, awesome PowerPoint. Very good stuff. Tony, thank you for joining. And Jimmy, we just to let y'all know, I asked him to step out because he was muffling. I don't know what was going on with his speaker. So I was like, give him the boot. No, I love you, Jimmy. I appreciate you, man. And so, yeah, we hope to see all of y'all in the group. And we hope y'all at least got some good tips today, even if not. And thank y'all so much for joining. Anything else?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.